Hello everyone, let us check out the solutions to class 6 biology annual examination. Let us start with the MCQs first. The dash receives pollen grains. The stigma, it is the uppermost part of the ovary which receives the pollen grains. Tonoplast is the outermost covering of vacuole. A small flap of tissue which covers the windpipe is epiglottis, right? Because it is the epiglottis that takes care that the food does not get into the windpipe. The heart is enclosed from outside by pericardium. These plastids are most commonly present in petals and fruits. Remember, they are colored plastids, so they are chromoplast. Deficiency of vitamin D causes rickets. Many of you have written scurvy. Scurvy is caused due to the deficiency of vitamin C. Which of the following adaptation is found in camels? Most of you got this right. Presence of hump. Orchids are example of epiphytes. They are aerial plants. They grow on other plants, not hydrophytes. Dash is used to measure blood pressure. This is sphygmomanometer. Okay. Dash becomes flattened during inhalation. This is diaphragm. Okay. Now let us move to the next part, which is fill in the blanks. Dash in fish are waterproof, which form the skeleton. It will be scales, right? Dash contains vocal cords which vibrate to make sounds. This will be larynx. Okay. Dash is the fluid part of the body. This will be plasma. Dash divides the heart into two halves. It will be septum, not anything else. Dash are fleshy seed leaves that store food. They will be cotyledons. You know, when the seed is germinating, the cotyledons, they store the food and provide it to the growing plant. The structure that helps the blood to flow in one direction. Okay, let me change the color of the pen so that we have it in different color. It will be valve. Valves are responsible for taking care that the backflow of the blood does not take place. The number of times a person breathes in 1 minute, that is called as the breathing rate, right? Now, the sequence of events during a complete heartbeat, that is called as a cardiac cycle. Cardiac cycle. Features that help a living organism to survive in its habitat is called as adaptation, right? Process by which embryo becomes active and the seed gives rise to new plant is called as germination, right? Now let us check the correct these following sentences. Swim bladder covers and protects the gills. No, it is not the swim bladder. It is operculum. Veins allow exchange of materials between blood and surrounding cells. No, it is capillaries. Respiration is a mechanical process. No, it is a biochemical process. Endoplasmic reticulum is the powerhouse of the cell. No, it is mitochondria. You should be getting the spellings correct. Erythrocytes help in clotting of blood. Erythrocytes are RBCs. No, they do not help in clotting of blood. Platelets help in clotting of blood. Okay. Now let us check out this next section. Blood group AB is the universal recipient. Dengue is caused by Aedes mosquito. Mountain goat, it shows camouflage. ATP is the energy currency of the cell. Protoplasm is the living part of the cell, right? Now let us take up this define. Now, when we are talking about allergy, some have written allergy is caused by allergens. No, that does not give you the definition. So, for allergy, what you are supposed to write is that it is the hyper sensitivity, the hypersensitivity to some substances. These substances are basically harmless, but some people, they show hypersensitivity to some substance, and this condition is called as allergy, right? Now let us talk about breathing. What is breathing? Breathing is inhalation. Let me write it over a little bit underneath it so that we get more space. So what is breathing? Breathing is taking in oxygen rich air and giving out carbon dioxide rich air. So we are taking in and giving out air. So inhalation, or if someone has written, the process of inhalation and exhalation together comprise breathing, that is also correct. Now let us check out what is migration. So this is the movement of certain animals, particularly birds, to avoid unfavorable climate conditions, right? You can write this, or you can also write it is the movement of animals or birds from colder climates to warmer climates. That is also correct. Now pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation means the circulation of blood from, or the circulation of blood between heart and lungs. So the circulation of blood between heart and rest of the body is systemic circulation, but the circulation of blood between heart and lungs is called as pulmonary circulation. Now we come to the last definition, fertilization. What is fertilization? The fusion of male and female gametes to give rise. Even if you have written the fusion of male and female gametes, you will get full marks. The fusion of male and female gametes to give rise to a single cell called zygote. Even if you have not written zygote, it's perfectly fine. For your class standard, if you have just written the fusion of male and female gametes, it is perfectly okay. Now let us check out the next two questions. This is differentiate between RBC and WBC on basis of their function, right? So you have to mention the function over here. So RBC helps in transport of nutrients, right? Or it also helps in transport of oxygen and nutrients. All right. Now WBC help the body to fight infections. That is to fight germs or to fight infections. That is how their function will be differentiated between. Now aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide and water vapor are formed basically, and water vapor is formed. But in anaerobic respiration, in yeast it is ethyl alcohol, and in muscle cells it is lactic acid that is formed. So you know that in aerobic respiration the glucose is completely oxidized, whereas in anaerobic respiration it is partly oxidized. Now let us take up the next parts of this differentiate. Alright. So androecium and gynoecium, what are the parts that are present over there? You have to identify or differentiate between them based on the parts that are present in androecium and gynoecium. So when we are talking about the parts over here, so it is in androecium, what is present? What is present is stamen and anthers. Sorry, stamen and filament. Stamen and filament. This constitute the androecium or the anther. Stamen and filament is present in androecium, whereas in gynoecium, stigma, style and ovary. These are the parts which are present in gynoecium, right? Cell membrane and nuclear membrane. Now cell membrane covers the cell and nuclear membrane covers the nucleus. So one covers the cell and one covers the nucleus. It is the outermost covering of the cell, it is a covering of the nucleus. Systole and diastole. This is when heart contracts. That phase is called as systole, and in diastole the heart relaxes. So it is contracting and relaxing. Those are the phases in the pumping or in the beating of the heart where it is pumping blood. So systole is when the heart contracts and diastole is when the heart relaxes. That is, heart relaxes when it is receiving the blood, heart contracts when it is pumping out the blood. Give the location of human heart. Give 1 point of difference between auricles and ventricles. When we are talking about the location of human heart, it is located between the lungs, right? 1 point of difference between auricles and ventricles, they are the upper chambers and they are the lower chambers of heart. Now, state 2 ways of keeping the heart healthy. Many of you got this correct. You need to exercise, you need to have a balanced diet, you need to do some meditation, you can avoid junk food, oily food. So many of you know already how we are supposed to keep our heart healthy. Right? Now, let us look at this diagram now. Identify 1, 2 and 3. So this is artery, this is vein and this is a capillary. Write 2 points of differences between 1 and 2. So artery, they how do we distinguish artery from a vein? Artery takes blood from the heart, right? Veins take blood to the heart. Veins bring blood to the heart. Now another point, you can see it has a thick lumen, right? It has thick walls. So because of which the lumen is reduced. So this has thin walls and wider lumen. It has thick walls and narrow lumen. Veins have thin walls and wider lumen. Name the blood vessels, the vessel that carries oxygenated blood from heart to the other parts of the body. Now, many of you got this wrong. The answer to this will be aorta. Many of you have written arteries. No. Arteries, all arteries do not carry oxygenated blood. Name the blood vessel. It will be aorta. Name any 2 valves present in the heart. So you know there is bicuspid, mitral valve, tricuspid, then there is pulmonary valve, aortic valve. Any of these you could have written. So any 2 you were supposed to write. What is the role of nasal hairs and mucus lining in the nasal cavity? So nasal hairs Nasal hair is responsible for, question number 9.1. Nasal hair, it traps dust and small particles that are present in the air, so that clean air goes inside the lungs. Now, for mucus, it is supposed to keep the air moist. So, whatever air is going inside the lungs is moist air. State one function of each of the following. Trachea, it is the passageway. It is also called as the windpipe, right? So what is the function of the windpipe? It helps the wind or the air to pass from the nose through the throat to the lungs. So this is the passageway for the air to move to the lungs. Now let us talk about this function. The function of pleural fluid. So what is the function of pleural fluid? Pleural fluid serves as a shock absorber. You know what pleural fluid is? Pleural fluid is the fluid that surrounds the lung. So it protects the lung. So any impact to the body, so this pleural fluid will absorb the shock and cause and protect the lungs from any damage. State two differences between inhalation and exhalation. We have already talked about inhalation and exhalation over here. So inhalation is taking in oxygen rich air in inhalation, and in exhalation carbon dioxide rich air. Also here the diaphragm flattens when there is inhalation. So let me write it over here. In inhalation, diaphragm flattens, whereas in exhalation it will be diaphragm is dome shaped. Diaphragm becomes dome shaped, right? Okay. Write a balanced equation for aerobic respiration. So you have C6H12O6 plus 6O2 gives 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus 38 ATP of energy. That will be the balanced equation. If anything is missing, you get a 0, because an equation is supposed to be correct in all its forms. Name any one respiratory diseases. There are many: pneumonia, asthma, bronchitis. You can write any of them. Pneumonia. So I am messing up in my N and M. This is pneumonia. Asthma, bronchitis, anything. Given below is a diagram showing a section of alveolus in lungs. Observe the diagram carefully and answer the following question. What process has been shown over here? So the process that we see over here is the exchange of gases. You can see something coming in, something going out. The exchange of gases is happening. Name the compound formed when carbon dioxide combines with hemoglobin. It is carbaminohemoglobin. If you have written anything else, it is 0, because you have to write the name of the correct compound. Right? Mention 3 adaptive features of aerial animals. Let us write them over here itself. So 3 features of aerial animals. What are those features? First and foremost, they have a streamlined body, right? Streamlined body. Then their forelimbs are modified into wings. Forelimbs modified to wings. Now, the third one, they have hollow bones to make their body light, so that it is easier for them to fly. Also, you can write that the lungs have air pockets which makes the body even lighter, right? Now, what are hydrophytes? What are hydrophytes? Hydrophytes are aquatic plants. Plants that live in water are called as hydrophytes. Now, here one thing you had to mention was aquatic plants adaptation, which helps them to remain afloat in water. The reason why they are able to float on water is they have air pockets or air sacs in their stem and leaves, right? So the leaves are spongy. Spongy means there are a lot of air spaces in their stems and leaves which help them to stay afloat. Or you can also write they have very weak roots. So if the roots were strong, then they would have held on to the substrate or to the ground. But since the roots are weak, they are able to float easily. Now the given is a picture found in a particular habitat. Now identify, what is the question related to it? Identify the plant and name the habitat in which this given plant is found. Easy to do so. The plant is, what is the plant? Cactus, and it lives in desert habitat, right? That is what you were supposed to mention. Now let us look at the next part. This one we have already answered. Mention two features of the stem found in the given plant. Now here remember, you had to give the features of the stem, not of anything other. So when we are talking about the features of the stem, the first part that goes is the stem is green. That means it has chloroplasts, because it will perform the function of photosynthesis, right? The other feature is that the stem is fleshy, because it stores water and minerals, stores water and mucilage, stores water and food. This is for the stem adaptation, right? Because most of the plants, they store their food in the leaves or in other parts of the plant body, but in cacti the stem stores water and food inside them. How are the leaves of the given plant adapted? Now here you have to mention the part with leaves, right? So the leaves are converted to spines. Spine means कांटे जैसे बन जाते हैं. They're very thin so that they do not lose water, right? Because most of the water from the plants is lost through transpiration. So leaves are converted to spines to prevent water loss. And you know, in desert there is a scarcity of water, so everybody is looking to save water, right? Now for the fourth one, this is actually two bits of the same question. Fourth one, plants that grow in deserts are called as xerophytes, right? So we have hydrophytes and we have xerophytes. Now let us look at the next question, which is the last question. Given below is a diagram of the plant cells. So what you have over here is this part is chloroplast. Now many of you have gotten confused and written it as in mitochondria. No, mitochondria looks very different. Chloroplast looks very different. Chloroplast has these stacks of chlorophyll over there, right? Grana and this thylakoids that are there. Now B part is the vacuole and the A part is the cell wall. That is what you were supposed to label. Mention two features that distinguish a plant cell from an animal cell, right? So over we have plant cells have cell wall as their outermost covering, whereas animal cells animal cell. So over here, now it is important to mention that they have you cannot say plant cells have cell wall and animal cells have cell membrane, because plant cells also have cell membrane, right? So animal cells have cell membrane as outer. Now here also you have to mention as outermost covering, right? So in animals, cell membrane is the outermost covering, whereas in plants, cell wall is the outermost covering. Now there are many other differences you can write. You can also write about vacuoles. Vacuoles are large in plant cell and very small or absent in animal cell. Animal cell. Now you can also write plastids are present only in plant cells, centriole is present only in animal cell, and like that, right? So those are a few differences, and you could have mentioned any of them. Label, we have already labeled. Say one function of the part labeled as B. So what is the function of the vacuole? What is the function of the vacuole? Vacuole stores water and food for the plant. It also keeps the plant cell turgid. Turgid means properly swollen in its proper shape. It also gives the cell its proper shape. Now we come to the very last question, which is lysosomes are called as the suicide bags because they digest old cells and cell organelles, right? So all these things they digest, they destroy them. Whatever is old, they are the ones that will digest it and finish it. That's why it is said that they kill themselves. So they are called as suicide bags. Now for the very last question, define cell division. So division of cell into two daughter cells is called as cell division. Name the cell organelle that regulates cell division. It is centrosome. So centrosome is responsible for regulating the cell division. Another nucleus, right? Nucleus overall it takes part in the cell division. The cell division begins from the nucleus, but the cell organelle that regulates the cell division is the centrosome. Alright then, so I hope that you have understood all the answers and you will be able to assess as to what you did right and what you did wrong. Thank you so much for watching.